Jeremy Corbyn's video apology on Twitter. I think we've got a little bit of it, haven't we? Should we have a little watch of it? This is apologising, of course, for the huge row over anti-Semitism within Labour, and he's trying to apologise for it here.
I'm sorry for the hurt that's been caused to many Jewish people. We have been too slow in processing disciplinary cases of mostly online anti-Semitic abuse by party members. We're acting to speed this process up. People who hold anti-Semitic views have no place in the Labour Party.
Why didn't he just come out and do an interview?
Because he's scared of interviews. He's scared of being questioned and stuff. That was... Listen, I kind of float between Labour and Lib Dems as a voter. I feel I haven't really got a party at the moment, because I certainly couldn't vote for Labour and the Lib Dems are doing nothing. He needs to come out and do a live interview or a live speech where he says, look, I have messed up. That mural that I kind of gave the thumbs up to was anti-Semitic. I drove past that mural once thinking, what the hell is that doing up? I've shared platforms with people who have atrocious views. I've associated... He needs to come out and he needs to kind of put his hands up and admit what he has done.
So why is he scared of doing an interview? It makes people wonder what he's fearful of. Is he fearful of saying the wrong thing?
Well,
Does he secretly have views that, you know, some might consider anti-Semitic in terms of Israel?
I don't think he has anti-Semitism is racism, and I think it is a bit much to accuse Jeremy Corbyn of having prejudiced against other people.
Out and
or do an
it
interview, because he's terrible at interviews.
Well, he isn't always, you know.
But this is the second apology in the matter of 3 days. Why didn't he get the first apology right? It was insulting to the Jewish community, the first apology, because it was released just as the Sabbath began, and that profoundly irritates observant Jews. He's still not embracing the fact that he personally, as Labour leader, is partly responsible for what's happening in the Labour Party, and he won't apologise for his own role. That's why this issue is not going to go away.
But it's not just him, is it? The
does.
problem is, as far as I can tell, is that he is surrounded in a sort of echo chamber of people who completely adore him. And I think the problem with leadership is you need people who criticise you, who you trust. And he's got nobody close to him who is willing to criticise him and say, listen, we've got to accept all 11 definitions of what anti-Semitism means. We can't just accept 7 of them and expect people to ignore the other 3. And if the whole, you know, National Executive Committee of the Labour Party is all sort of willing to turn, you know, put their hands over their ears, do this and just go, we're sorry for the bits that you don't like, but we kind of believe in some other bits too. It's never going to work, is it?
But the reason that he won't accept all of them is because some of them will go against behaviours that he's done in the past. You know, that's why he can't do it, because then they can call him out and say, well, you've done it.
Well, that's what I mean about some people feeling at his core he has views that under this broad definition would be considered anti-Semitic towards Israel. But when you say people coming out and talking, of course, Tom Watson, the leader, has come out and said, you know, this could be a shameful stain unless we get to grips with this. And there's an absolute tirade against him on Twitter with hashtag Watson resign.
And they are
now, you'd think that those people are coming out and saying, thank you, Tom, for sharing the views. But actually, they're all against him, which doesn't help the perception.
That is the cult of Corbyn. And these people, they have been on Jeremy Corbyn's side of politics for 30 years. And now they're central to the Labour movement. And Jeremy can't really escape from them because they're his base. And he doesn't want to escape from them. And where it leads, possibly, in the autumn, is a genuine split in the parliamentary Labour
And isn't it
Party.
fascinating, at a time when our government is doing so poorly in many people's eyes, Labour have absolutely no energy to concentrate on the biggest issue of our decade.
They're tearing themselves apart
You know,
over anti-Semitism.
Politically speaking, what an own goal.
They should be scoring points every single week against one of the worst governments we've had in decades.
And we call it anti-Semitism. What we should really say anti-Semitism is, it's being racist towards Jews. And this is a terrible, terrible thing that they still haven't cleared up.
Just for those who don't... One of the key things that Labour won't go on to say is that being anti-Israel is the same as being anti-Semitic. They're saying you can criticise the Israeli government for its actions without that, in turn, being anti-Semitic. Now, that is a huge issue for Jewish groups in this country.
To be fair, though, the definitions don't really say that, do they? They say that you can't compare Israel to Nazis, which feels like there are ways that you might be able to criticise Israel without, you know...
But that's the point that the argument Labour Party is having.
But why would you want to talk about Israel and compare them to Nazis when you know the history of the world and how the Jews were treated by... You can say Israel is, you know, they do some terrible, terrible things, Israel, but why would you even want to put the N-word in there when you're talking about them? That's crazy.